Eliza Shirazi, welcome to the Further Forward podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. I don't even know. You're just someone who is on everyone's radar, rightfully so, for such a long time. Like, I knew you before I knew you. So this is a wonderful moment for me to get to have a conversation with you, because I only ever see you in passing or something like that. So this is one of those moments where it's a selfish, oh my gosh, I get to talk to Eliza and everyone else gets to listen to it.
Yeah, I was saying before we hit record that I feel like we'll be able to talk for days and days about all of these topics. It's just like so much alignment, and
Agree.
I just feel like we could yap forever. So I'm excited to do that today.
Yes. We'll just pre-plan a second episode now. Like, let's just manifest it. Lock it in. So this podcast starts the same way every time. Who are you and how are you?
I am many things. I'll start with how I am today. I'm great today. The sun is shining. I'm feeling good. And I think it's a really great question to start with. Who are you? Because everybody wears so many different hats. And I think the hat that most people see me wearing is the kick it hat, maybe like literally or
Yes.
metaphorically. But I would say underneath all of that, I'm just someone who's so passionate about community and bringing people together in a low pressure, authentic, healthy way. And that has just been manifested through fitness, group fitness, movement, and my business. So that's who I think I really feel who I am at the core.
Yeah, I feel that. And what really resonates with me is the world might label us and many different things, but in some ways, like as fitness instructor, and it's so incomplete and so it's like a tiny portion of what we actually do. So to hear you talk about the aspects of it, it's like this embodiment that uses movement.
Yeah.
But that is not all you are, which I love.
I usually say that kick it's just like the vehicle for doing what I love. It's just like the engine I use for it. And I really get a kick out of trying to explain my work to people, because they do say, "Oh, so you're a group fitness instructor or you work out for a living." And I don't even know where to go at that dead end.
Right.
I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, if that's what you that's what you
That's
see.
it.
That's all. Yeah, work out for a living. You got it.
Yep. There are so many layers. And even for people who do teach group fitness as like their side quest or like their passion, there's still so much work that goes into quote unquote just being a fitness instructor. So it's funny talking to people sometimes, because I'm like, how much time do you have and how much energy do I have to unpack the layers?
Exactly. But also, name me another career path that is not doctor or nurse or something like that. Like, name me an everyday career path that the person interacting with the clients might be in 1 second talking to a neurosurgeon, and another second talking to a teacher, and another second talking to a stay-at-home mom. I find that what makes it so special is that we connect with so many different types of people under one umbrella philosophy. And I'm like, just a fitness instructor? Like, bitch, you could never do what we do. Okay.
It is so much emotional intelligence, and
Mhm.
it's so much catering to all but making it feel personal. It's really it's like not just counting down.
Yeah.
It's much more than that. And I think that comes through a lot in my world because, and we'll definitely get into this, but I've been certifying instructors to teach Kick It since 2016. And I think the biggest misconception is that instructors are just timers and they're just demonstrators. It's like, we're not robots. Like
Right.
you gotta create a skill set that's so much deeper and that you really can't complete with just like a multiple choice thing.
Yeah.
It's so much deeper, but it goes into the same lane of trying to tell people who really are, it's just so foreign to them, this field of work. It's a lot of like debunking the
Yeah.
myths and misconceptions.
For sure. I'm like, just get yourself in the room, and
Yeah.
that's how you're gonna start to know the difference, right? You just have to feel it. You have
Yeah.
to get it.
You do. It is a feeling thing. It is a feeling thing. And it's like, that's the thing about, I'll speak on just like group fitness in specific, but people don't remember the reps. They remember how they feel at the end of class. And maybe it's because of like the amount of reps they completed, but they're stuck on the feeling of it. Like it really is a feeling and you have to just experience it, which is so hard to convey sometimes, you know, in in any kind of forum like social media or emails. It's like you just have to come and feel it for yourself.
Please just come. Just come.
Yes.
So true. So we're talking about Kick It, but for people who don't know,
Yeah.
what is it?
Kick It as a format is a shadow boxing style class. It's to the beat of the music. Back in the day, I used to say it's sweat inducing, music driven, and all of these like interesting adjectives that I actually wouldn't use today to explain
We
it.
love the growth.
But,
Yeah.
people would sometimes think like, is it a dance kind of format? And it's not. We're moving to the beat, but it's not. We're not like shimmying or, you know, doing dance steps. But my roots are come from dance. So that's why it is to the beat of the music and the music really drives the experience. So that's the format. And the coming back to the idea of being um accessible or inclusive, that's a really big part of Kick It, and it always has been. It's a space where you can take the class and you can go 150% and do all the jumping and all of the combinations at their fullest expression, or you're going to notice when you take a class, there are so many options if you don't want to be jumping around, if you want to keep it low impact, if your range of motion isn't where it used to be, or you're recovering from injury, postpartum. There are all these ways to insert yourself into the class and feel like this is for me. And that's really intentional. That's on purpose. And even though Kick It as a format has shifted over the many years I've been teaching, that kind of like philosophy and idea of being inclusive to most, because again, you can't please everybody, but to most has been really important to the actual format of the class. And aside from that, there are so many different branches to Kick It as a business. And like I mentioned, there's a certification, so people can get certified to teach Kick It and bring it to their communities. There are corporate partnerships, there's merch, there's our virtual membership. There's all of these different kind of angles to the business that so oftentimes people don't realize, which they don't have to realize. But I think that's another uh, kind of like irks me when people are like, so you're a group fitness instructor. Like,
Yeah.
sort of.
You're an entrepreneur. You're a
Yes.
founder. Yeah. Yeah. It's so much. I think it can be whatever you intend for it to be,
That's right.
right? Like, I'm
Yeah,
sure there are plenty of people out there who just wanna go teach a class and count down and listen to music, and then there are people like you who are changing the way that we view movement or what movement could be, or specifically inclusive, accessible movement. You use the word low pressure. Had to write that down because that's a huge glaring
yeah.
low pressure in fitness.
I know, right? It's
What?
such a
It's nothing but
contrast.
pressure. Like, say more.
Yeah, I got into it. I think it extends from like why I got into group fitness. So growing up, I danced, and the my high school career danced competitively. That's not to say that I was good, but just to say that
Your own horn, Eliza, like, you can tell people you were the shit. It's okay, like, we're with you.
thank you. I we were actually pretty bad, but okay, good for just like general purposes. Took it seriously, didn't play other sports because like dance was my life. So was really committed to the bit. And when I got to college, I went to UMass Amherst. Before my freshman year, I was like, I'm gonna try out for the dance team the summer before my freshman year because obviously that's what I'm gonna do. Like that's the path. So I tried out for the dance team and I didn't make it. And I kind of, not kind of, I definitely panicked and thought, oh my God, what the hell am I going to do when I get to college? Like, how am I going to find my friends? How am I going to find my creative outlet? What am I going to do? So, and I think like any kind of athlete or someone who has a long trajectory with something, it's when you kind of like cut it cold turkey, that's really awful. It's really hard. Um, so I thought, you know what? I'm going to try out again my first semester when I get there because I knew they were hosting 2 auditions, and the second time didn't make it either. I was like, "Oh, alright,
Will blow. Oh
we
my god.
gotta figure this out." So, I was really determined to find some sort of movement that could replace this really big hole in my life, and I took a step aerobics class, and I just thought, this is really fun. This is like kind of close to that community feel, and it's to the beat of the music, and it's coordination, and it's so many things. This is like a very common pipeline now of like dance to fitness. But at the time it was like I didn't know people did that. I didn't know people who were in like the dance world found fitness in this way. So that's when I was like, let me find joy in group fitness. And so I started teaching my freshman year. I really didn't give it much time. Like I didn't wallow and I didn't really sit there and pout about it. I was like, let's just figure out the next thing. And Kick It was called Kick It literally my freshman year of college when I started teaching. Yeah, so it's been true to its roots in so many ways since the beginning. And the low pressure was like, I just wanted to have fun. Like, I just wanted to feel free to move my body and, like, come up with these combinations and seeing other people in my class. I was really experimenting. I had no business teaching group fitness, really. I always think the group fitness director at the time who hired me because she very easily could have been like, "You don't." I hadn't done my general group fitness certification yet. I really didn't have any certificate to show for it, but she really gave me the opportunity to figure it out. And all of these students on this big campus, they were like my guinea pigs. And positive the positive response was just kind of reinforcement to keep like trying and figuring it out and playing with what does this format look like. And it was just so well received. I never felt called to teach another method or like get certified in a certain method because people were really enjoying this evolution of Kick It. And it's so funny. I just remember like the early days I would write out every single combination and I would burn my CDs to bring to the gym
Yeah.
to play. It was like, oh god, it feels so vintage now. But a part of that moment in time was UMass opened up a brand new rec center my second semester freshman year. So when I was starting this kind of like experiment with Kick It, the whole campus was interested in fitness because this new gym was open. So it was really good timing. Like a lot of that was luck with timing of what the interest on this campus was. So even though I didn't really have a clue as to what I was doing, I always wanted that low pressure feeling because dance, even though I did it competitively in the last 4 years of my dance career, it always did feel low pressure ish. It wasn't a team that was it was a new team to this studio, so I think there was, like, a lot of figuring out what competition team looked like at this studio. Um, And that I'm grateful for that because it really never tainted my experience with dance. I know people who were on teams, or if like you're an athlete and you're a part of teams that are just so hardcore, you lose the love for what you're doing because it feels so intense. And so I'm grateful for that time a part of that team because it kept it low pressure enough for me where I still really loved it. So I wanted to bring all of that energy to my classes, and especially in a space where everyone's so concerned about the freshman 15, and your body is definitely changing at that point in time, and it's a vulnerable, weird time as a woman or a young adult or a girl, however you want to classify that age group. It's just a very vulnerable time where you're figuring out who you are and your body changing and evolving, and there's just so much change in that period. Um, so yeah, that's been true in different chapters and different seasons even now, keeping it low pressure for people no matter the season of life that they're in.
Wow. I mean, why boxing of all of the things that you could have done? Why that?
Took a Les Mills group fitness class in my hometown when I was
Okay.
in high school. I took many of their, like, formats. The gym, only had Les Mills, like, it's like Body Combat
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
Pump or Power or whatever, and the one that just stuck out to me the most was that I can't remember if it was called Body Combat, but something like that, and I just loved the format. I thought it was so fun to be punching the air. Loved it, and what's really funny is I think I might be incorrect with this, but I think at the time, it could have been like the marketing from Les Mills, or we did it in class. The instructor would actually wrap their hands with boxing wraps, even though we weren't hitting a bag. So when I got to UMass and I started teaching, I would wrap my hands and wait, it gets better. I went as far as I would sell hand wraps to students
Gosh.
in the back closet before class started because that's just what I thought you did. Like that was
Oh,
just like my experience. And again, I can't remember if it was just like the marketing of that
yeah.
Les Mills world or if the instructor actually did it, but it was enough for me to be like, this is what we do.
We
So we're
do.
wrapping our hands and we're
Mhm.
doing the whole bit. And the older I got and the more experience I got, I'm like, why the hell
I
were we
was I applaud you for collecting your coins though, like selling wraps for no reason? Come on. Genius,
I was
genius.
really a little entrepreneur
Yeah, you
from
were.
the jump. So yeah, it was something about like the free I loved the classes with the weights and all that too, but I think it was something about the freedom of not being tied down to weights, and being able to choreograph kind of similar to a dance routine that made it feel like it just was a nice fit. But once again, I wasn't certified at anything. I was really just taking little bits and pieces of my experience and things that I loved and started to put it together. And the older that I got, the format has certainly evolved and it's gotten smarter. But I still love the shadow boxing aspect to it. I just think it's very empowering when you can get over the fact that you're punching the air. Like when you have more of an intention behind the method. It's a fun kind of like confidence booster, let your energy out sort of format.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. I was always so curious of like where the boxing came from.
Yeah.
'Cause I was like, I don't think she's a boxer. Like I've never seen her. Has that been I'm just gonna like segue
Yeah.
quickly to something that might be more difficult as an entrepreneur. What about the haters? What about people saying she's not a boxer? She doesn't know what she's doing. Has there been any jabs, pun intended,
Yeah.
around what you do, how you do it, what you've created, any of those sorts of things that you've had to overcome?
Well, I was hardest on myself first, which is interesting. So, when I graduated and I moved to Boston, I was working at the Brigham and I was just teaching wherever I could, really wherever would have me. And it wasn't until I graduated UMass 2013. And I was teaching like, at any kind of studio that would take me, backyards, this and that, the other thing. It wasn't until I think it was 15, maybe 16, George Foreman, from formerly known as the club,
Mhm.
messaged me on Facebook and said, "Hey, I see you teaching this Kick It class around the city. Would you come teach it at my gym?" And at the time, I think like the fanciest gym I was at the time was Equinox. So like
Okay.
I was starting to gain a little bit of street cred, you know, through like these more powerful big dogs in terms of gyms and like luxury wellness experiences. And so I felt confident in what I was teaching, but when he asked me to teach at that gym, I said to him, "I'm not teaching at your gym unless I'm formally trained in boxing because do you like you got rings in your gym?"
Like,
Like,
people are gonna, like, feel
yes, they're gonna know. Like, I felt fraudulent even though at that point I had been teaching years. I was like, if you can have someone sharpen my technique, I will teach at the gym because really other than that, I was like, I'm not stepping foot in that place. Like,
yeah,
I just feel
fair.
like I feel weird. And so he trained me himself.
Wow, okay.
And that was like a master class, as you can imagine, in boxing. And I taught at the club for years and I gained so much good experience in the ring, but also outside of the ring. And it was really not only a master class in boxing and technique, but learning from George was a master class in business because that dude is a businessman first. And he knew exactly what he was doing by bringing me into the club. He knew I had a demographic that they wanted in the gym and that I was a low pressure
Yeah,
segue
yeah,
into the club, which was intimidating to maybe that female millennial at the time. So it was a win win because for me, I was really learning the true fashion and the sweet science behind boxing. And he had someone who was getting in a demographic that would flourish at the club, which they did. And I didn't like, I was the only one doing that, but I was one of the people where I knew he was like, this girl can bring the people that we want into our space. So it was a win win. And that's when I think I started thinking more about Kick It as what it could be as a business. And before I get into that piece, I'll say I never I mean, knock it is what it is at this point. I was gonna say knock on wood, but it is what it is at this point. I never had people doubt what I was doing. Or
gotcha.
if they did, I didn't hear about it and fine by me because I kept going, you know? It could have like totally taken the wind out of my sails. There were a couple of competitive kind of vibes and feelings, but to me, I was always like, there is so much space
So much.
in this industry. Like, it you can be at the top with a million different people. It doesn't have to be so cutthroat. So I more so experienced that versus
That's
people
interesting.
doubting my abilities. And I part of that I think is when I moved to Boston, so many people from UMass moved to Boston. So I had a lot of people rooting me on. I don't know that I would have continued teaching if people weren't asking me, where are you going to teach? Like
Wow.
it really was just kind of like the support from people that moved to the city alongside me that were like, you're going to keep teaching, right? And I was like, I guess, I guess so. So I kind of did it out of like, people want it, so I'll do it. It wasn't really me moving into Boston and like, you know, pounding my chest like, "Here I am." It
Like,
was
I'm
just
taking
kind of
this over.
yeah, it was just kind of like serving up what people were asking for. So I think that approach probably had something to do with it. And listen, I am sure people had things to say, but again, I'm just grateful that it
Yeah.
never affected me or like what I was hearing wasn't so hurtful or potent that I was like, I'm gonna stop. Um, and it kind of like it's a kind of a little bit of a nod to that phrase of like, it's nobody else's it's not my business like what anyone else thinks about me sort
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure people were chirping away. I just kind of like minded my own business.
For you. For you.
Just
I'm
kept
like,
going.
part of the reason why I ask is because now that I'm, bringing myself into the Pilates world, I'm seeing like so much chirping
My
and
god, people have so much to say about that.
to say. And I think it's true for people have a lot to say about yoga and strength as well. I think there are grifters and in every aspect of wellness and stuff like that. But
Absolutely.
I don't think I've seen this like in the strength world, it's kind of like, these people are idiots. In the yoga world, it's like, please stop whitewashing our practices. But in Pilates, it's like
It's intense.
it's so intense. And I'm just like, what is like I get it now that I'm in it, like, I understand when you spend thousands of dollars and hours being certified, which includes observation and practice, and, like, it is intense to be excellent at what you do in
Yes.
ways that other modalities are not.
Yes.
And I'm like, you're shaming people and intimidating people to sort of, like, remove themselves from something that's already difficult to attain.
Yeah. I
And
feel
so
like
yeah.
you're so spot on, and I feel like a little bit that has contributed to, like, the criticism. I don't know why Pilates, in this era of Pilates, has gotten into this corner of influencers almost tainting the the world a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it it almost became so desirable to teach the format that I think people started to question, like, is this person even qualified? And, like, what does, like, being a Pilates princess even mean?
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
like, the real ones are like, there's so much depth to this method and this training, and, like, it I hate that it almost, like, cast a shadow over
Mhm.
the really well-intended instructors who are, like, doing
Yes.
the work and the
Yes.
investment of it
Yeah.
all. It got trendy, and with that comes a lot of criticism,
Right?
which is so interesting, but there are, like, so many talented people like yourself who are so educated in the wellness and movement space to begin with, like, baseline,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's just, like, you gotta be able to decipher, like, who's doing it for the likes and who's doing it because of, like, the actual education and betterment of
Yeah.
people and classes. I think that's, like, the cloudiness of it.
I fully agree, and it's definitely I think, like, because I mean, I asked you also for several reasons, because, like, when something resonates with you and you wanna teach it and you wanna sort of pour yourself and your joy into it in order to then give it back to people. I think there's something special about that, and I think that, yes, you want people to be certified, right? Like, I don't want someone, I don't know, doing a kidney transplant if they've never been to med school, like, I get it. And it's not as cut and dry as get a certification, now you're qualified to be in front of people, because sometimes that piece of paper doesn't necessarily mean that you should be leading classes in and of itself.
You're
So
absolutely right. Yeah, you're 100% right, and I've actually found that with my training over the last several years of making it so accessible, but it actually got to the point where I was like, "This is too accessible." Like,
ooh,
I'm almost certifying people too quickly or not having enough parameters around them completing the process, and the more boundaries I set within the certification, some people got pissed. They were like, "Well, what do you mean I'm not certified?" Like, they were like, "Why isn't this so easy?" And it was such a good mirror for me of the way I market the certification, the way I set up the systems. Last year, I did like a whole, um, kind of like not a rebrand, a refresh of the program of the certification. And in that, I made things harder because there were just moments where I was like, I certified this person. They're not ready to teach. Like, that's my fault. Yeah,
yes, girl, speak on
it's
it.
yeah, it was such a good reflection. I think a part of that had to do with, like, I've been doing this for a decade, so things, get lost in the sauce, and some of the programming or the structure, it has to evolve over time, And when I had experiences where I was like, "This person is not ready, but they're out there teaching," I was like, "I need to recalibrate because it's not a good reflection for them of them as an instructor or for Kick It," you know? So I think, like, just back to the Pilates piece of it, or like the teaching of it all, it's so much deeper than people realize. It's just so much more work and it's a vulnerable thing. Like you said, when you're doing something that's so passion filled, you want to give it back to people. It's such a vulnerable thing. So when there is that chatter, it's just like, oh, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah. I thank you for naming just like to the responsibility that it takes if you are going to teach teachers. It's a different thing than teaching just like the room clients because everybody's coming for something different. So sometimes it's, sometimes people are really learning from you and sometimes people just want to sweat and have somebody tell them what to do. And both are
Def-
totally valid. But
Definitely.
when you are teaching people who are going to go out in the world and teach your method that you created, it's also vulnerable to say, I need to recalibrate this. I need to
Yeah.
make this more like not difficult, but for difficult sake, but because wellness is competitive, fitness is competitive, and you need to be excellent.
Yeah.
And also, our population, in a lot of ways, they're sicker, right? There's our environment, our food,
Mm,
our climate,
true.
all that stuff. So
Yeah.
maybe I'm like, going too deep, but I also look at
No,
it as a different responsibility now.
absolutely. Yeah. And
So it makes
I,
sense.
I think, like, as anyone who's in any kind of leadership position, no matter what it is, you have to be willing to see the holes
Mm,
and the faults. You have to,
yeah.
or else you're just going to sink, or
Yeah.
else, like, the quality just deteriorates. And while I never want, can I swear on this, by the way?
Have you met me?
Okay. I never want people talking shit about Kick It. It's a reflection of, like, well, what's going wrong? And not that people were talking shit about it, but there was internal chatter of, like, I don't know if this person's ready, or like that person's class was like not so stable. So like that light shit talking was good for me to hear because you need to recalibrate 100%. 100%. And yeah, I feel like any anyone in leadership has to just be willing to see that as a mirror for the opportunity to, like, evolve and change.
It's not easy.
No, it's
It's
so
not
hard, it's so
hard.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a team or are you doing all of this by yourself?
I love this question because 'cause isn't social media so funny where, like, perception, it's like, who's doing what? So, it's just me doing majority of it all, but I really love to give credit to Leslie, who's our, I call her like the support coach. I don't even know if that title is fitting anymore because she does more than support. She's a mentor and all that. She helps me with some of admin stuff and engagement with the instructors and our members, but I'm the only one on payroll as an employee of my business. Um, Everybody else, it's, if they're teaching here and there or less who helps them with admin stuff, it's much lighter roles, I guess is the way to put it. Um, but when I was actually solidifying Kick It as a business in 2016, 17, my brother, who was in business with my dad, they actually just sold their business this past year, which was like a really interesting, crazy time because it's been a family business for decades. Um, he he was like, "Let me help you set up your business the right way," because I had no idea what I was doing. I'm a creative first and business and logistics
Yeah.
second, maybe third.
Yeah.
Um, so he came on board and has a small amount of equity in Kick It and really acts as a sounding board and someone who advises and helps. And it's funny being, I guess, like, in business with my brother. Uh, he's 11 years older than I am, so I really do see him as, like, a mentor and someone who has so much more experience than I do. And it's just nice to be able to tap on someone's he would do this with or without equity. Like
Yeah.
I'll say that. But it's nice
Yeah.
to tap on his shoulder and ask like those really hard business questions of do I register as an LLC? And then we eventually moved from an LLC to an S corp and like taxes and insurance and like all of the really hard things for me that go along with running a business. So that was a really long winded way to say it's me. And then I have some
Yeah.
bits of help here and there.
Got you. I mean, like, what is in terms of like, I guess I'm between the words growth and evolution, which is why I'm pausing because I'm just gonna say both. I was trying to choose one, but I'm like, no, it's both to me. What does it look like going forward, or is this it?
Mm.
And it'll just keep getting deeper instead of wider.
Yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it. What
Yes.
I've been saying for the past couple years, honestly, when I have these conversations is I'm just trying to get really good at what we're doing right now. Like you literally nailed it. That was so beautiful to hear before I even said it.
Thank you.
Deeper, not wider. Deeper, not wider. I something that I've been thinking about also in therapy. I'm such a big advocate for therapy, by the way. Something I've been really exploring in like those sessions and over the course of the past 4 years, we'll call it, is there's been so much evolution with Kick It from UMass days, like 2009 when I was a freshman and figuring it out, to graduating and moving to Boston and not necessarily reinventing, but like evolving. And it's so exhausting to evolve so many times. So I think I hit a point where I found a pretty good structure to the business where I didn't feel like I need to keep like trying this or trying that or doing this or doing that. I could just like really hone in on what we were doing, which the main things are our virtual membership. That's like a main revenue driver for Kick It. It's much harder post COVID, but it's still very much alive and something I'm doubling down on this year, like reinvesting in. And the other thing are corporate partnerships. So one of the examples is we've been able to work with Omni hotels in Boston and New York, both in-person classes and also creating virtual experiences for hotel guests as an amenity. So that's kind of like another thing. That's one example of many. And just really doubling down on what's happening now. Because there is like it's really hard to have longevity in any kind of career or industry, especially when you're a small business owner. You know, like I don't have investors. I don't have all this capital that's coming in all the time from outside sources. So I just found like in the past few years, I just want to get really good at what we're doing because the evolving and trying to like one up myself over and over again, it's like, it's just
Yeah.
not sustainable, you know?
Yeah. For sure.
So
I
that's
hear
where
that.
I'm at right now.
What do you say to people who they've like watched you, uh, teach it really cool things in different places and you've been on TV, you've been on
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
Morning America. And what do you tell people who think that you've arrived? Like you should be done. You should be rich and famous.
Virality and like these flashy things are, how do I put it? I'm trying to just like provide a little like dimension because those aren't the revenue drivers in my business. Like, that's not what makes me profitable in my business. And also, being a small business owner, some years are really wonderful and some years are extremely hard. It is a roller coaster, you know? Nothing is ever promised. You know, you're responsible for bringing in your own revenue and figuring out what profit's gonna look like for the year. It's not a steady, uh, I was gonna say 9 to 5, just to kind of like for a lack of a better phrase, steady paycheck. Um, so it's really hard, and those wins, uh, are so, far and few between compared to the hardship. Like, being a small business owner is harder more than it is like the TV news segments or the magazines or this and that. Those are just kind of like bonus little wins that you should leverage for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
But it's a it's a really humbling journey. It really is. And I think what I try to do on social media is kind of whenever there's like a big moment like that, maybe it's on my stories that I'll do it, or maybe it is through a post. I'll try to show people the behind the scenes. Like, here are all the things that took to this moment. And also, after this moment is over, it's back to work. It's like back to it. And I think there's also a little bit of this obsession with going viral on social media, but it's really like, what are you gonna do after that happens? Like, how are you gonna leverage that moment? Because the moment alone is literally a moment, and then the next day, people forget about it. So it's it's like less about the virality and more about like, what are you doing today so that when people find you, maybe through that viral moment, then you'll have something to show for it. You'll have a service to provide. You'll have the skills. Uh, so yeah, those things are definitely, street cred. They're important, but they are not on the like highest priority
Right,
list as a
right.
small business owner.
That makes so much sense. Thank you for naming that because having something to show for the virality
Yes.
is the piece that I'm taking away.
Yeah.
And in part, like I hear that now and I take that away because when I went viral in 2020, it was so unexpected
Yeah.
and quite frankly not wanted. and
Yeah. That's a good point.
right? And I
Yeah.
didn't know what to do with it. And and I think I struggled for so long coming out of that because and well, in that particular case, like for DEI, it's like, this is not what I
Yeah.
want to talk about all the time. This is not
Totally.
anti-racism is not my whole personality. It's one piece. And then I started like, oh my God, does anyone want to hear anything else I have to say? Is
Get it?
anything valid? Can I be a whole person? Because now people followed for this one particular thing. Are they going to unfollow because like I'm not going to be posting things that are shareable all the time? I was actually fine with like the 3,000 people who actually really loved me and cared about all of the aspects of
Well,
my
that's
life.
the thing though. That's the thing too with followers. I remember being really anxious about not having enough followers and growing my following and this that, and the other thing. And it is so different for me now. I would rather have a smaller amount of followers who are actually engaged versus like 500,000, a million followers who are random people who don't get what I'm doing. I also think like for the health of a business, that's important to clock too, because kind of like these vanity metrics can be really confusing and flashy for people, but you're going to do more quality business and get more quality clients or leads or customers or however your business is set up if you have the right people coming to you. So like who cares about a million followers? Like, I think about the OG bloggers back in the day who got on Instagram like when it very, was starting and becoming really big. And I know for some of them it's like they have a million or millions of followers, but their engagement is so confusingly low because it's just there's a shift now in the way people use social media. And so I guess my point is it's so much more quality over quantity on social, and it's confusing because those metrics can be really the millions and the hundreds of thousands, this and that can be so it's normal to crave that.
Right, right. I'm struggling to remember where I've heard this, but when people talk about money and they're like, money is just energy, money only has its value because we've all agreed that this means this and this means that. And I think of that with social media too, which is we're just all in agreement that this is important. So it will continue for as
You're
long
right.
as we give it all of the energy that we're giving it. because
Yeah.
then the moment that something else becomes more important than that, well, I'll move on from it,
It's
It's
true,
just
it's true. About money too, that's kind of adjacent to followers. Like, the money and, like, it's all kind of connected, and that's also success, like, the meaning of that has really shifted for me over the years, like, what it means to me.
please.
And I think back in the day, I was thinking, like, I wanna be rich monetarily and, like, have a lot of followers, and, I just think, like, my frontal lobe wasn't developed. I just think I didn't have enough life experience, And I'm sure my relationship with it will continue to evolve over time, but now, like, truly, I think of success as, like, having freedom in my life
Me too.
to yeah, to do what I want when I want for the most part,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I feel very fortunate that my work has a lot of purpose for me and, like, passion. That makes me feel really rich in life. Um, I see it's just kind of like the classic idea of money I'll see on social media, like, people flaunting, like, their big ass house or their really expensive cars, and, like, I really am happy for them if, like, that brings them joy. I just think my personal relationship with what being rich or successful means, it's it's so different now. It's so, so different. So, yeah, I just hope anyone listening to this who is, like, stuck maybe in the comparison trap on social media, like comparing your life or your followers or whatever it is, um, happiness can be found in a much different way.
Yes. Yes. There are so many ways to, I think, make a living, feel fulfilled,
Yes,
all of those things, and you don't learn that from social media. You cannot listen
totally.
to your inner self if you're always looking at what other people are doing.
And it's the same thing with instructors being like, "I need packed classes and sold out classes because that's what I see on social media." And I'm like, "Dude, I've been doing this for so long and I just taught a class to like 10 people and it was great." Like those I know I guess that's a whole other rabbit hole, but I guess from like a business standpoint, I understand why, like, maybe a studio owner would want, packed classes
Sure.
and sold out
Yeah.
classes for the health of the business,
Yeah.
100%. I think though, like, there's just it's just like kind of like these smoky mirrors around
Yes.
success,
100%. 100%.
and it
And
drives me crazy.
there's so many factors that go into having a packed room, right? Sometimes it's just right time, right place. Like, it can be that
Absolutely.
simple, Like, sometimes there's a Red Sox game and no one comes to your class, and it's not because you're terrible, it's because
Exactly.
the sun is shining and people wanna go have a beer and watch a game, and you're just
Yes.
caught.
You're totally right. You're totally right, and it's really hard to not, attach your worth and value to
Yeah,
class size when you're constantly comparing,
yeah.
metrics of sorts.
Mm. Yeah, and both studios I work for, you get paid per person.
Yeah,
Like, it's a base pay plus a per person, and so you're also incentivized to have more people, so it's harder to detach because 'cause I'm like, "Well, I wanna make money too," right? But also I'm like, "I don't know where these bitches are at, but I'm still a good instructor." I don't know where
absolutely.
this is, I'm still good, but, like, where where are
Yeah,
you?
yeah, and I think that's why I'm like, from like the health of a business perspective and, like,
Totally,
I t
totally.
I really get it, I really do, and I think, like, to your point, it's usually not a personal thing if
Usually not.
people are not coming up. It's
Yeah.
usually convenience, time,
Yes,
all of that.
all the things. Okay, well, I have to say, and I'm, like, putting you on the spot because 'cause I'm not editing this out. Will you do a part 2?
Oh my
Because,
god,
like,
yeah.
we have
Yes.
we have a lot of things
We
that we
haven't
need
even
to
hit some of the
so
things.
we knew this would happen. I literally should have just blocked 3 hours with you, honestly. I mean, it may be 5 parts. I don't know. It's a saga. So
Yeah, I would love to keep chatting about this. I think it's such a fun and fresh, interesting angle because you have so much depth and experience in this space that I feel like we just like connect.
yes. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to pause here because there are like, y'all, we have to talk about body image and
Yes.
wellness for women. And I want to know more about Kick It. And I want to know more about you and all the things. Haven't even gotten into like, who you were as a little girl. We just have so many other things to talk about that are meaningful to me.
Yeah,
But I still want you to plug your handles
for sure.
and where everybody can find you.
Yeah, everything is at Kick It by Eliza. I actually this week, oh my gosh, it's been such a fun, long process, but new website is coming out
Oh,
very
nice.
soon. Yeah, it's kickitbyeliza.com. And it really speaks to like all of these branches of Kick It that people don't know about. I needed to reinvest in a website so people know about all of the things. So we could totally dive into that too for the next
Yes.
episode. But yeah, it's Kick It by Eliza on Instagram, Facebook, website, all that.
Love it. Eliza, thank you so much for an incredible part one.
Yeah,
I'm
I can't wait for part
so
2.
grateful. Yes, I'm so grateful and so excited that we just get to keep going. We both had a feeling this would happen and it's happening. So,
Thank you for having me.
yeah, of course. All right, everybody, listen to this first one. Follow Eliza, follow Kick It. And also, don't just be a lurker, be a community member if you've learned nothing from this episode. And we will catch you in part 2.